After the unexpectedly good Riviera line in Train Sim World 6, I wanted to return to TS Classic and the Caledonia Works arsenal, with the chosen subject being a locomotive whose review I've been meaning to finish for a long time now. The LNER A3 Pacifics might just be the most famous steam locomotive class of all time, largely thanks to the sole survivor, Flying Scotsman, and what he's been up to in preservation. CW released their A3 pack 2 years ago on the 14th of October 2023, but I didn't pick it up until the spring sale in April 2024. The pack cost me £14, or $31.05 NZD, with a 30% discount, but the full price is £20, or $48.74 NZD. Needless to say, Chris Wilson's model absolutely blasts the old RSC Flying Scotsman right out of the water. The Steam store quotes the release date for that fossil as the 2nd of August 2012, but I swear the pack is older than 13 years. In any case, the old model is out of scale, and the pack only includes Flying Scotsman and no other members of the class, and even then, only 3 variants of salmon trout in disguise, namely British Railways Brunswick Green, LNER Apple Green with 2 tenders, and LNER Apple Green with 1 tender and smoke deflectors. You could also get the LNER Wartime Black livery, but for whatever reason, that was sold separately. As for why there's a random Great Western engine in the background, your guess is as good as mine. This newer pack from CW doesn't just include the sole surviving A3, but every single member of the class, not to mention their numerous model variations, such as engines with a banjo dome or German-style smoke deflectors. As far as I have been able to tell, we don't get a variant of 60097 Humorist with her unique smoke deflectors that resemble those on the Thompson A2-3 Pacifics. Meanwhile, there's also 3 different tender variations, not counting Flying Scotsman's double tender arrangement. The tenders in question are GNR with coal rails, Grizzly non-corridor, and Grizzly corridor. The idea behind corridor tenders was to allow engine crews to walk from the footplate to the coaches and vice versa, thus allowing crew changes to take place without having to stop the train. Meanwhile, on the LMS, none of their Pacifics ever had the luxury of a corridor tender, and come to think of it, I've just realised that I can run the A1/1 Pacific with the A3's corridor tender, disregarding the fact that the real A1/1 never ran with a corridor tender. When I said every single member of the class, I meant every engine that was rebuilt as an A3 from the original A1 design, as well as the new build A3s. The first of the Grizzly A1s, number 4470 Great Northern, wasn't like the others, in the sense that she was rebuilt as the prototype for Edward Thompson's new A1 class, which was planned as one of his standard types for the LNER. The rebuilt Great Northern was later redesignated as A1-1 to avoid confusion with the Peppercorn A1 class of 1948, while the remaining unmodified Gresley A1s were redesignated as the A10 class until they received the A3 rebuild. If my research is correct, the first A3 was 2743 Felsted, built in 1928, and another 26 were built as A3s from new. There were a total of 78 engines in this class, including those originally built to A1 specifications, and the last A1 to be rebuilt was 2567 Sir Visto, built in 1924, rebuilt in 1948, and renumbered as 60068 under British Railways. The last example to be withdrawn was 60052 Prince Palatine, originally LNER number 2551. This locomotive bowed out in January 1966, but by that point, Flying Scotsman had already been preserved for 3 years. Sadly, several LNER classes, not just the A3, only saw one example survive into preservation. Even though I'm somewhat bored of Flying Scotsman in his post-2016 state, no thanks to him wearing one of the overexposed BR liveries, I still like the A3 class as a whole. These things are very well proportioned, and although I'm not British, I consider this class to be one of the UK's signature steam locomotives, on par with the Great Western Railway 5700 pannier tanks, London, Brighton and South Coast Railway A1 Terriers, and, to a lesser extent, the BR Standard 9F Class 210, amongst lots of other classes. Incidentally, I've got Hornby models of 3 engines in this class, namely 2564 Knight of the Thistle, 2599 Book Law, and 4476 Royal Lancer, but only 2599 is in A3 condition, while the other 2 are in A1 condition. As far as I know, CW's pack includes every single livery the A3s would have worn in their working lives. The full livery selection is as follows: LNER pre-war apple green, LNER wartime black, LNER post-war black, LNER post-war apple green with the Gill Sans font, an alternative variant of post-war apple green using the classic red shaded font, British Railways apple green with transitional Gill Sans lettering, BR Ultra Marine, BR Express Blue, and BR Brunswick Green, with variations including the early emblem, late crest, single chimney, double chimney, and smoke deflectors. The later BR and preservation variants are equipped with automatic warning system, or AWS for short. So if you're driving one of those locomotives on a route that also has AWS, don't forget to press the Q key whenever you approach a cautionary signal or speed limit change. Meanwhile, you can open the cab side doors and rooftop vent. The latter reminds me of the super detail Hornby A1s and A3s, as they too are equipped with adjustable vents. Regardless of whether or not it's authentic for any given locomotive, you can have any member of the A3 class in any of the included liveries, instead of being restricted to only being able to put certain numbers on certain liveries, as is the case with some of the variants in PLD's Great Western Castle pack. As a brief aside, 7010 Avondale Castle is one of my favourite members of this class, and props to PLD for his big update on the Castle add-on. Besides all the historic LNER and British Railways variants, CW's pack includes just about every single preservation-era variant of Flying Scotsman. Aside from the USA tour and apple green with smoke deflectors, Perhaps the most unusual variant of this locomotive is the one where the second tender is painted in BR blue and grey. As for my favourite livery in the pack, that's easily the classic pre-war LNER apple green, but I'm also a bit partial to BR ultramarine as well. Come to think of it, I reckon the real Flying Scotsman should be repainted in ultramarine at some point, and I wouldn't mind seeing someone make a TS reskin of the A3 in LNER gutter blue, just like what the A4s wore. I think that would look really funny, but also cursed at the same time. There are several customization options on the Caledonia Works A3, with the specific details that you can change depending on the chosen livery, and full details on this front can be found in the manual. In this case, we've got 2796 Spearmint in LNER pre-war apple green, and on this variant, you can change the builder's plate, choose between two different types of steam dome, and decide whether or not the smokebox door details are burnished. To give you an idea of just how long these videos can take to come to fruition, that footage of 2796 in the scenario editor was recorded in May 2024. It's also worth mentioning that all variants in CW's A3 pack use the LNER teapot whistle, of which I am not a fan. In the case of the USA Tour Flying Scotsman, there's also an American-style whistle controlled by pressing the B key, and I prefer it over the teapot whistle. Come to think of it, it's a pity that the A3 doesn't have the same whistle customizability as the CW A4. Due to their 3-cylinder layout, the Grizzly Pacifics have a distinctive exhaust beat of 6 chuffs per wheel rotation. When you're driving the A3, it's important to remember to keep the fire mass between 49 and 52% and the water level between 70 and 90%, as marked on the F4 heads-up display. The driving controls are much the same as they are on other CW locomotives, so I'll refer you to the A3's manual or one of my previous videos, specifically the review of the LNER A1/1 Great Northern, for an explanation and demonstration on how to drive these things. Out of curiosity, I conducted a test run from Gretna Green to Dumfries to see just how fast the A3 can go, but for a bit of variety, I used the WCML over Shap version instead of Western Lines of Scotland. During this run, I got 60111 Enterprise up to an absolute top speed of 88 miles per hour, insert obvious reference here, with that top speed being reached around 2 miles east of the old station site at Rax. I may not have driven the A3s all that much before making this video, but I am still of the opinion that Mr. Wilson and his team have done a very good job bringing these famous Pacifics up to modern standard, to the point where I consider CWs to be the definitive version of the A3 class in Train Simulator, especially with the sheer amount of liveries and model variations included in the pack. If I could make any suggestions for improvements to this pack, one would be to add a variant of Humorist with her unique smoke deflectors. In any case, I can still recommend this add-on to other TS players who like British steam locomotives, but I'll leave it up to you to decide on getting the pack at full price or waiting for a sale. As for where I'd rate the Caledonia Works version of the LNER A3, I'm of the opinion that she deserves an 8 out of 10.